गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम एक ही सवाल के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे। डज टेक्नोलॉजी विन वॉर्स? एंड फॉर दिस डिस्कशन आई हैव विद मी जनरल दुष्यंत सिंह। गुड इवनिंग जनरल दुष्यंत एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट once again. A
Thank you.
very important question we're going to discuss today. Does technology win wars? Why?
Thank
As with claws and you, we have done a series of programs on technology in battle and how technology is changing battle. What are the important technologies? AI, and we spoke about space and many.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the question is, where does it lead to? Right? I mean, without doubt, there is no doubt that technology has impacted battle, but have people won? Right? What we'll do is, I'd like your initial comment, then I'll put you through a presentation which I
Yeah.
have made, and
Yes.
we'll keep discussing as we go along various facets of this business of technology.
Correct.
So your initial views, and then I'll get on to what I want to put
Sir,
across.
my first of all, thank you very much, sir, for all the help which you have given to Claws to actually kickstart this technology series. This is a very important series from the perspective of Indian Army officers who are going to uh, take the entrance examination for Defence Services Staff College, which is a career course of 1 year, and I always compare it to getting through this particular test as difficult as getting through IAS for the Indian Army officers. So that is the level and importance of this particular entrance examination. Not only science and military, there are five more subjects which they have to appear, and each one of them is a challenge by itself. Science and military is challenging from the perspective that when we were youngsters and when we gave this exam and when we cleared the staff college, uh, we felt it very difficult. We had to go through 3 4 presses and then reproduce whatever questions were asked in the examination. But the challenge now is the speed at which technology is changing, and therefore for the officers who are going to take these exams, they have to be that much fast and quick on their feet to understand what and how the new technologies are affecting. What I have noticed here is that there is a tendency to get carried away by technology. That okay,
Yeah,
now we have got AI, so the solution for everything is AI. So people start referring, why don't you try this out with AI? Why can't we shorten the OODA loop with AI? What is OODA loop? Observe, orient, decide, and act, which is basically sensor shooter
yeah,
linkage which we have. So those who are in the defense will understand this kind of a thing. So they say, okay, we have been taking 30 minutes to get a particular fire on the target. You got AI, now get it down to 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and what have you. You have AI Lavender, which has been started by the Israelis. Now, what AI Lavender has done is it's an app wherein they have fed the all possible data of terrorists in Hamas, in the Hamas organization. Now, this app is going to tell you, okay, this particular person whom they have identified through either photo identity or whatever way it is, the soldier on the ground or system which has been deployed to kill these people, that he is a terrorist. Now, we are depending on that database ultimately for the AI to give you a signal. This guy is a terrorist. Deploy the weapon, shoot it before he vanishes from that particular area. And what I believe I have come to know is that there have been a lot of mistakes done in this particular you know process, because ultimately who is the one who's creating all these things is the human mind. So the litmus test for any technology to succeed is the man behind that technology. And
yeah.
essentially we would like you to highlight exactly where technology helps us and where technology finds the dead end, and
The dead end, yeah,
it is the human mind which has to take over, because
take over.
ultimately everything is no
Yeah,
system. I was reading yesterday an article where it was showing, I mean, telling that there is no system developed in the world till date which can beat the human system.
yes. And we are
So,
trying to challenge that. The
and we're
funny
trying
thing is we are trying to challenge that.
to,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Mm.
let's get started, sir. And with this,
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. It's a sort of a hotcake kind of a presentation, but it'll be worth it. Right. Now, uh, I read this article, uh, Foreign Affairs. And
Yeah.
this is where I picked the heading up from. Does technology win wars? And he says the US military needs low cost innovation, not big ticket boondoggles. One point of view. But when you read this article, it explains that technology need not win you wars or not necessarily to win you wars. Okay. But I'll come to certain factors later. I'll just show you where some interesting thinking. Same foreign affairs, sometime later. He says back in trenches.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at the Ukraine-Russia war, right, you see that the trenches are like what they were in First World War. There's no, uh, there's no movement taking place. Tanks, shanks, everything other than there's no movement. There's no maneuver. Maneuver is out. Look at look at Gaza is complete built-up area. Where is the maneuver? There's no maneuver. Okay. After all, at the end of the day, Gaza is 42 kilometers of the strip, right? I start from one end of the beach in Chennai, I go to the other end, it's 56 kilometers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more than Gaza. And that place, people have been fighting over the past 8 months. No, nothing has happened. It's not, why technology hasn't revolutionized warfare. There's a question. I will say why technology has not revolutionized warfare in either Gaza or in Ukraine or in South China Sea, where, Philippines is showing a ungli to China. One of these days we'll cover that also. But at the same time, this I found in Washington Post, which says how the algorithm tipped the balance in Ukraine. There is a case where, like what you said, AI has made some difference. The algorithm war is happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And we need to understand this. You have to understand this. And then there's also opinion like, how Ukraine's tech army is taking the fight to Russia. It has taken, there's no doubt about it. It's not only one way. This is, of course, being from Washington Post. This spoken of the what Ukraine has done, but equally there's a Russian angle also to it. Even Russia's, yeah, okay, one has to. But I'm making the larger picture, irrespective of the. And he says Ukraine war is revolutionizing military technology. Whoever masters it wins. Again, debatable because you look at Taliban, they had no technology. Look at America, they had all technology. Who won? Look at Vietnam, right? Vietnamese just died in their paddy fields, but they won finally. Okay.
Absolutely.
And for that matter, you can take many examples like this. So technology always doesn't win. You might, okay. But then let's see how it affects battlefield because you can't say technology doesn't win, so I throw it out. Right. And this is something which I've got from these articles only. He says technologies give an advantage in war. It alters the capacity of states to create and project military power, right? Like China is doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And it can create greater firepower to increase the cost in terms of life and limb. That is the misery you can heap on the other guy. It can also at the other end where you can cause casualties to the other person, you can decrease the cost of war by limiting human cost of war by limiting losses and making escalation less likely by deterring, right? So that you can preserve your manpower and political gains you can get. And this is important. Technology shifts the balance between offense and defense. If you have technology, you could be offensive or defensive as you choose. So it gives you that flexibility. It also affects the state's ability to fund wars and to supply battlefield. Right. So how you can do it? Powerful war economies or revolutionizing the and creation and production of weapons. And ideally by doing both. Right? Technology will kickstart your economy, and you create a war economy, you can fund your whole story. And of course, you can decrease resource dependence so that states can control supply chains and sustain their ability to carry out a conflict over time. This is very important. The concept of Atmanirbharta hinges on this. Okay. Now the next thing is we all talk of new weapons and cheap and small technologies and all that. What is coming out is it's not really realistic to replace all existing weapons with cheap off the shelf technology. Right? Just because you have some cheap technology, you can't throw out your tanks. I'll talk of tanks a little later. Yeah, many high end systems still play important roles in combat. You can't, आप एक hypersonic weapon को नजरअंदाज नहीं कर सकते, right? Or for that matter, long range rocket, you can't wish it away. You can't wish away the latest tank or a good rifle, right? But you can complement complex high technology with cheaper autonomous systems, communication, munitions, and decoys. You mesh the two, right? Then what happens? You can create friction, battlefield friction. You can slow down the conflict or control the pace of conflict, and you can increase the long-term cost to adversaries, right? Now, is that happening in Ukraine? To a large extent, it is. It could be sacrificial in nature, but the cost to Russia is increasing by the day. We forget about Ukraine. Ukraine is gone, right? It doesn't exist as a nation. It's a proxy nation there. But the the cost to Russia at some point of time will keep increasing, and it has its own manifestation. Okay, and you look at uh, Israel. The same thing is happening to Israel. The cost to Israel is going up, right? Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis and Iran have used certain amount of high tech and low tech to impose costs on Israel. Then, of course, the last thing is when you look at new versus old weapons, you can invest in resilient networks, adaptable information technology, and munition stockpiles to go beyond the initial salvos of war. So that is basically build war stamina. So it is not as if new and old weapons are separate or you can do away. The idea is mix and match. Now, what are your views before I go to the next issue?
Sir, basically, what we have gathered over a period of time based on these two wars and also wars in the past, and I'm referring to Afghanistan, I'm referring
Yeah,
to, Iraq, Iran, Iraq, everywhere, till the time the war is being fought one way, with technology becoming a demonstrator of prowess and power, there has been tremendous success. But moment the human angle starts getting into it, and moment the fight reduces down to the ground, it is here that you find that technology starts having limitations. I'll give you two examples. Russia initially suffered a lot with the precision guided munitions, JDAMs, etc., which were given by the Americans to Ukraine. And they suffered badly, both in terms of tanks, in terms of manpower, which was lost. Subsequently, the Russians realized that these precision guided munitions were dependent on frequencies, dependent on electronics. They started now deploying counter electronics measures to ensure that they always missed their targets. So, what I'm trying to refer to is technology in the initial phases has given tremendous advantage to a person. You take the tanks, sir. Initially, when the
Yeah, I'll come
tanks,
to the tanks.
no, I'm
We'll
just
come to the
saying that
tanks.
initially, when a new technology comes in, it gives you such a vast advantage that people start getting, uh, you know,
Enamored by it.
enamored by it. But moment this happens, there is a counter technology war which starts off. And who starts this war? That is where I'm saying it's again the human mind which starts this war. So therefore, technologies are enabler in my view. Technologies are enabler, and the initial success is always going to be there with a person who is taking the initiative, but subsequently the system starts catching up. There has to be a mix of new and old, like as you said, but the old gives you that, advantage of doing some innovations and trying to actually overcome the new technologies also. Here you will
Yeah,
find the
uh,
example of
Dushant,
rockets,
Dushant, one
dart
minute, one
rockets.
minute. Dushant, 1 minute. Just continue speaking. I'll be off. I'll come back in 2 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Okay?
uh,
Just,
Go ahead,
just
sir.
carry on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what actually happens is that when you look at old and the new also, you will find sometimes the old technology can just swamp the new technology. I'll give you example of the Israel Hamas war. What has the Hamas side done? They have thrown dud rockets. Dud rocket means no guidance, no nothing, limited range, but in large numbers. And when they did this, they were able to beat the Iron Dome system, which was far costly, which was very accurate, which had a success rate of 80 to 90%. But even with that success of 80 to 90%, with innovation, an old weapon or old system was able to overcome the technology. So my only observation in all this is that there is a mix of continuous war which is going on in the terms of technology and in terms of the human mind.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And this is what I'm going to get out next. Look at this. You know, tanks are not obsolete. In the initial phases of the Ukraine war, everyone said, there are a lot of losses of tanks both on the Ukraine and Russian side. So tanks have lost their value. In fact, both the countries have, lost more than half the tanks with which they started the war.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say, look, because of these losses, tanks have become obsolete. But then, look at the statistics. This is interesting, actually. In 1943, the loss rate for German tanks was 113%. Germany lost more tanks than it owned at the beginning of the year, right? Some would have been recycled, that's why they're looking at 113%. In 1944, Germany lost 122% with which it started. The Soviet Union's loss rates for tank in 1943 and 1940 were nearly as high. 44, naturally they lost less because Battle of Stalingrad they won, and then Kursk happened, and okay, but still 109 and 80%.
Very
Now
high.
look at the very high. In a single battle in Normandy, the UK lost more than 30% of all its armor on the continent in just 3 days. Few have argued that the tank was obsolete either in 1918 or 1944. So just because you lost tanks because of drones, is the tank obsolete? No. So the tank will morph. The battlefield has morphed with drones, so the tank will morph. So this is a thing which just to substantiate what you're saying.
And I would like to add here, sir, I would like to
Yeah,
add to this argument. Initially, when the Air Force, I mean, first time,
yeah,
it came as a big bang. But suddenly you
yeah.
started developing anti-air defense and other
Aircraft
systems, and then you started talking of the tanks again came back,
came back.
right?
Okay,
That is the reason why the tanks came back again, sir.
and not only that, today you're also talking Air Force is not required because air is not active.
Absolutely. Because drones
Okay.
have come.
drones have come. So these things are all just a change in the way things, evolution of warfare. Nothing goes out of the equation. Not
Yes.
even bows and arrows, nor not even clubs. In this sadi, we have used 4 years back on the LAC, we use clubs to fight, despite the fact we are nuclear adversaries. So nothing
Yes.
goes out of the equation.
Yes.
Okay. Then artillery. 80 to 90% casualties have been by fire. Right? Right. Fighting in Ukraine features armies using drones to find enemy targets, which we all know, and then using network communications to quickly relay the information for precision engagement of guided artillery. This is the popular perception. But not all artillery in Ukraine or in Russia is guided. Most
Precision
of
guide.
it is dumb old rounds. But
Dumb
what is
round.
important? Yeah, what is dumb, uh, artillery? But what is important? The important thing is that the old artillery, the old weapon systems have done mix and match. They've been teamed up with new systems like drones, reconnaissance, targeting, and
UAV.
made the old artillery new or more effective. Okay, I still remember, Kargil war. Uh, the we had buffers, we had grads, we had 105s and all that. The Pakistanis did not have any mountain equipment, right, fit for those heights. What did they do? They they brought up the old 5.5-inch guns, stripped, carried it piece by piece, assembled it on those heights at 14, 15,000, used it innovatively because the 5.5 also doesn't fire high angle. They
I
used
mean,
with a
sir, so why go far away? Zozila, what did we do?
Zotila
What did we
did
do?
do. Yeah.
We got the
And
entire squadron of armor at Zozila Pass.
Zojila Pass. And these Pakis with 5.5-inch guns, which were of Second World War, fought and destroyed the Kargil ammunition dump. Similarly, what you are saying, we took tanks to Zojila Pass, where the people never expected tanks, right? So innovation is probably the more important thing, and that is
Yes.
what the whole idea of taking this is you can have all precision ammunition, but you still need normal artillery, the normal tanks, the normal infantryman. These three तो इसके बिना आपका गुजारा नहीं है बैटल के अंदर. Now, there's a very interesting piece I saw. It says the real contest with China. It says is Washington needs a comprehensive industrial strategy to outpace Beijing. Your capacity. Technology is not on the battlefield. Technology needs to be applied in your industry. Unless you revolutionize the industry, you can't fight battles. He says war in Ukraine shows that the age of industrial warfare has not passed. Countries still need a lot of artillery, tanks, and old fashioned weapons. It's been a wake up call to Western countries because they have not been able to produce artillery ammunition and other munitions. Right? 90% of the weapon systems being employed by both sides, aircraft, tanks, and artillery, and the like, were developed and often produced in the 20th century.
Sir,
Okay?
I like to add a
Yeah,
data. I like to add a data here, uh,
yeah,
given by Admiral Mike Gilday of the
yeah,
U.S. Army, U.S. Defense Forces. He says after the 100 days of war, when the U.S. approved Javelin and Stinger missiles, old, they are not new
yeah.
missiles.
They
They
are
are
old.
fairly vintage missiles being transferred as aid to Ukraine. The Raytheon manufacturers and Lockheed Martin manufacturers, they gave out a statement saying it will take us years. It will
To
take us
make
to go back to pre-war status.
yeah.
So that means nobody has abandoned old technology, or nobody has abandoned technology, but it's innovative usage, like as you said,
is
adaptation and
is the
innovative usage. That is important.
is the key. That is the key.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Now let's get ahead. Right. Okay. This argument goes further. He says the reason technological advances are not more determinative in war is that they are only part of what shapes outcomes. That's what we've been arguing. How
Absolutely.
combatants use their technology and adapt to their enemy's equipment is as important and often more so.
Absolutely.
The most important adaptations are often not technological but operational and tactical.
And tactical.
Okay? It is what that man does in the trench which is more important always, which will win the war or lose the war.
Yeah,
They involve changes in the way armies use tools at their disposal. All these stories are all tools.
correct.
Okay. Over a century ago, armies developed tactics that reduce their exposure to enemy fire by exploiting dispersion, cover, concealment, and suppressive fire. Has this changed? It has not changed. If drones have come, you need more dispersion, right? The fundamentals of warfare have just not changed. So, right. So, this is what, you know, the nichode of technology is with all everything.
So,
So, I want your views now and then we can have a discussion.
like for example, sir, well, I mean, what you have said in the last two slides is fully the reality. You take three aircrafts which are high end, high technology, man them with a pilot, and ram it into World Trade Center. What is that, sir? That is
Innovation.
innovation. That is innovation. That is ideation. It's not new. Look at the Japanese, what they did with Japanese kamikaze fighters. What did they do? They took their aircrafts and rammed them into the ships on the sea
Yeah,
during Second World War. We are talking of Second World War, sir. So it is a simple fact which comes out that technology and a human mind both are required for you to win wars. If we assume that only technology can win us war, I think we are wrong. If we think that only the human being alone without getting equipped properly can win you the war, I think we are wrong. It is a good mix of human versus and technology, new versus old, all these mixtures together used ingeniously to the situation prevailing on the ground at that particular moment in the warfare, in the battlefield, will win you wars. So therefore, strategy, strategic, operational, and tactical level, all three levels have to combine. More so, innovations and adaptations are more applicable at the operational and the tactical level, which is
tactical level.
which is where you will find that the difference start taking place in terms of results and outcomes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that Santa Singh and Banta Singh sitting in the trench have to hold,
Absolutely.
have to
Yes.
hold line, right? That whatever fire he has on his shoulder or which comes from behind has to be effective on the enemy. How you make it do is it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Okay. And if you see, that has been the critical difference between what we have been able to achieve in high altitude and what the Chinese have been able to demonstrate so far, right? And it is not, I'm not trying to this thing, but I think the critical difference is they have all the equipment. We all
Yeah.
know that they have better equipment, they have better infrastructure, everything. But yet, why are they not even prepared to fire one round? After all, we've had three skirmishes almost, Doklam, 2020, and Yangtze. And not even at one place did they attempt to fire a round or use all the force which they had. And not only that, you look at Philippines. In fact, I was thinking,
Yeah.
the, what's happening in Philippines, in South China Sea and Philippines. For the past 8 months, 10 months, they've been dashing each other with boats. Water cannons have been firing everything. But the Chinese have not fired a single round so far. They're very careful of not firing weapons. Very careful.
Yeah.
Okay, why? They're not confident of handling it. Right?
Good.
It's not a one side. Unfortunately, war is not a one-sided affair. Okay. In my experience, and I'm sure it's your experience too, I find the more dangerous enemy for us is the Pakistani, who can
They
fight
have
better.
they do a lot of innovations. If you really see,
Yeah,
20 Mumbai attack,
yeah,
fantastic usage of
innovation.
human innovation. You look at any of these attacks. What did they do in Akshardham? They went right on two guys, just two people. They went right on top of the mandir's highest point, and from there they were killing anyone and
People.
everyone who was coming in their sight. They knew that they were going to die, but before they before they were dead, I think they took so many people along with them. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So technology has its limitations against a human mind, and that is why we said that human system is the best system today, which is existing till now. Unless
Yeah,
the AI becomes so adaptive that it starts beating the human mind, I think we should take it with a pinch of salt, that we must look at technology and human beings as some kind of complementing each other, and then I think we will win wars uh,
automatically.
in a more effective manner.
Yeah,
That's some nichode of this discussion which we have had today. So,
and what you said about AI yesterday, it was yesterday only I spoke about AI to everyone.
yeah,
Yeah, at this point of time, we have narrow AI. It is repetitive AI. It's, I would say the AI which we normally use is more of,
machine
a
learning.
high-end machine learning or deep learning, right?
Absolutely.
It's more predictive and more classificative in nature. It's more statistical in nature. It's not original in nature. It's not original in nature by any stretch of imagination. That is still away, and the moment it becomes original, the thought process of that originality has to start in the third level. So we are far away. When people say AI will rule the roost, robots will rule the roost, and all, it's all bunk. There's a long way to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Now the
not it's
next
not
thing with,
it-
yeah,
it's not
go ahead.
it's not out of possibility, but it is
But
still some distance away.
it's
It's
some distance away.
yes,
And when it comes, we'll handle it. The human mind will handle that also.
yeah,
The second thing which I want to say is where technology has made a difference. It has made a difference is in your ability to, prepare for a war. Is in your ability to develop stamina for a war, and especially for big nations, uh, where you have huge responsibilities and you have huge adversaries. The requirement of building war stamina is important. You look at even small non-militia, non-state forces like Hezbollah or Houthis. You see the rocket arsenals they've built up. It is giving them stamina to fight out. After all, at the end of the day, what is Hamas? Hamas has got hardly any, firepower. But the
absolutely.
firepower it has made, and his originality of thinking, he is still firing. Today also he has fired rockets
Yeah.
on Israel. So the requirement of technology to build war stamina is important. Your views on this?
uh, I tend to agree with you, sir, because technology can also offset a lot of your manual requirements, right?
Yeah,
So if your manual requirements are reduced, obviously you get that much more ability to prolong the war, prolong the conflict. If you start, it is also helping protection. More often than not, we don't realize, we only look at the offensive part of it, but
but
technology
defensive.
also results in protection. Now if I have a good ECCM system, electronic countermeasure systems, the enemy precision guided munitions can be directed or spoofed to a different direction, to a different location. My location, my people, my technology is safe from that. So I personally feel that it's a cat and mouse game, where you can use technology both for causing degradation and for ensuring protection. Now in this battle of degradation and protection, who wins is the guy who's smart enough
Yeah,
of the two. So that is why I also said earlier that it's a mix. It's a good mix of technology and the human mind which will win the wars for us to go to tomorrow. And definitely you can't wish away technology. If today I can reach faster, mobilize faster, obviously, sir, I'll save the number of effort required, number of trucks required, number of rakes required. If the turnaround is faster, what is happening today? I mean, a simple example in the civil, if people have to understand from a civilian perspective, today the roads have become outstanding, right? So the wear and tear of all your vehicles, etc., has reduced. So therefore, less number of vehicles, larger transportation of goods, and similar thing is for defense, where a better technology leads to larger results. Okay, a particular bomb, say for example, if it can straight away hit the target, obviously I don't have to make 100 bombs. Then I just
Yeah,
make 10 bombs, do with it, and prolong my war for another
more.
month, another month. So therefore,
Yeah,
my cost may increase, my cost of production may increase, but my cost of total requirement may reduce, and my
yeah.
ability to prolong the war will increase. So
Increase manifold. And
absolutely,
yeah, you look at it from a different point of view also. Today, for our entire battlefields are all in high altitude areas. And you need a lot of fossil fuel to survive out there. You need fossil fuel for almost everything for energy. Without electricity and diesel generator sets and all which we take, and we don't have. Look at it. If you spend in infrastructure, take electricity up, you take the fossil fuel out. You take the fossil fuel out, you don't have to transport it. You're not worried about it. And then, most importantly, the pollution part of it also.
yeah,
And then the cost of buying that infrastructure for the fossil fuel is also taken off. So it's a
definitely.
huge saving. And the manpower involved in transportation of fossil fuel from place A to place B. So whole saving you do because if you put infrastructure for energy. But if you have better technology, right? If you can manufacture energy in situ, then you save everything. So how do you get that next level technology in the battlefield? So that is the thing which you have to look. How do you innovate to make yourself uh, better to fight, better to survive, and that gives you the ideas because then you don't have to think. Okay, यार मेरे पास ना आज मिट्टी का तेल नहीं आया, मेरा जनरेटर सेट चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा, I don't know. Now I know मेरे पास सब कुछ है, सामग्री है where I can generate my thing. So all my systems are go. I can check. I don't have to be think. And then I think ahead. I think into the battle and say, yeah, isko abhi kaise fasana hai. So there's a mental change also which happens, and that is the kind of technology I'm looking for. Your
and
views, and then we'll ask questions.
and adding to what you're saying is why technology today is becoming more and more important and counting for itself is the fact that dual use technology numbers are increasing.
Increasing.
So there is a sustainability factor also. I mean, evolving technology purely for defense leads to people thinking that we are spending too much money into developing new technologies, but a technology which has a dual use, that means both for the civil as well as for the defense. And clear examples are semiconductor chips. They are absolutely mandatory for any kind of systems which we are dealing with today, whether in the civil, whether in the defense, whether in any of these, even for climate change, even for global commons. Everywhere these technologies are coming handy, and hence the sustainability of technology is increasing by itself by making it commercial over semi-commercial. So that again adds up to your that point which you have just been referring to. So again, sir, technology is important. We are not
But it
banishing
has its limits.
we are not banishing tech. We are not saying that technology is not required. Don't go by the heading we had created just to make you understand that technology is important, but how to explain to you? We said, we gave that title, "Can Technologies Win War?" so that you understand the limitations of technology and you understand the importance of human being, both. So
Yeah.
limitations of technology and importance of the human mind. Unless these two are understood by people who are practicing war at the tactical level or at the operational level, I think we will not be able to fully go ahead and win wars in the future. Look at our wars, which we are fighting today, sir. All the wars. People talk of gray zone. People may say, कि sir, gray zone में क्या
Yeah,
technology
yeah,
की
everything is in gray zone today.
So I mean, cyber is what technology, but
A
how,
complete gray zone.
yeah, how to use that cyber technology is where the human mind again comes in. So therefore, I think it's a good mix of the two, which we have to now continuously focus on, and maybe rather than indulging in large wars, time
Go
has come
for.
to do small wars. Otherwise,
Yeah, we'll
we'll get
see how it goes.
otherwise
We'll see
we may
how
get,
it goes.
yeah, otherwise we'll get
Maybe.
stuck like Ukraine and Israel.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have to. In fact, maybe we have to look. This is my view because you said it. I think we have entered a time where hybrid is the new norm,
Yes, sir.
and we have to start looking at gray zone very seriously.
Correct,
A
sir.
gray zone has to be matched by another gray zone,
Absolutely
right? And then the other chap will know very fast as to what we mean,
correct.
right? Okay. Shall we take some questions?
Yes, sir. I think
Yeah, we'll
we
take a few
have
questions. We
labored
have some
enough
time.
on this importance.
Yeah. He says, glad to see General Dushan Singh after a long time on vlogs. I wish he could come more often. I also wish he could come more often. But he's heading a think tank. Okay. He's heading one of the most important think tanks for the army. So I'm very glad he's joined us today. Okay. Uh, we know and discuss about how tech can win wars. Let's consider the opposite for a moment. What are the battlefield? What are the scenarios, battlefield circumstances in which technology can make you lose? Example, 7th October. That's what we've been talking of.
That's what
Yeah,
we.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, this is exactly what our thrust has been. The over reliance on technology by the Israelis led to the human mind not thinking that it's a holiday, right? The enemy is likely to take advantage of a particular level of preparedness of a particular force which is opposing them, and they did exactly that. It was human mind innovation coupled with some technological support which they got from Iran, possibly. I mean, that's what the story says. So and they created a scenario for Israel which has now landed. Of course, Hamas has Hamas, and more than Hamas, the people of Lebanon, people of Palestine have really suffered. But the fact is, on that particular day, the tactical victory went to Hamas because
Hamas.
of their advantage of using human mind with technology over reliance of the other force on technology. They use shadows. I went through a presentation where they've used the shadow of the technology to come close to the wall which was separating between the Israel and Hamas region, and then enter the tunnel and get across to the Hamas area. So these are human ingenious things which people do to overcome technology, which we don't realize.
Yeah. When we don't have a full understanding of the subject matter, we conclude that it's either superior to our intellect or God sent. Either way, our brain switch off. Your views.
I mean, if like I said, if you start thinking that I have got a Brahmastra and now nobody can defeat me, I think that's the
Then
day.
you're
That is the
that's
day
the
when
way
you
you
are defeated. Your end has started from the day when you think of that.
think.
Absolutely,
Right?
fully agree with you.
No one beats a human mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see progressive use of technology in future warfare, with some instances where technology plays a very important role over conventional views of both generals. All yours.
See, as far as use of technology is concerned, Yes, you are seeing this trend across the board, whether it is in terms of intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, whether it is in terms of hitting the target, precision guidance, whether it is in terms of protecting yourself from a similar technology being applied on you. So you are having counter technologies coming in. The drones they started off with a big bang. Now you have a very good counter drone systems which have now come up, which are actually posing a problem from drones to survive in the air. I think this is a battle which is going on. But to say that over conventional, I think that's a little misunderstanding of the area. Everything is conventional. Use of drones can be done in a conventional war also, and use of drones can be done in a
No, no,
unconventional war. So, like for example, the Armeco oil field strike. It was a totally unconventional usage of the
drone
drones.
missiles.
But now, what is being used in Russia-Ukraine war? Fully conventional. Both sides. In fact, I interacted with one of a Russian defense expert, and he was saying why we went in for a positional war was the fact that now everything is white on the battlefield because of technology. So I am able to see him, and he is able to see me. If I do a maneuver, he is able to pick me up and shoot me down. So obviously, then we went in for the positional warfare, like what General Shankar highlighted, saying that the best protection is the ground against a battlefield which is now white, not black
Yeah,
anymore. So that's it.
right. And you have to understand, technology evolves, battle evolves, and that's the history. There's when airplanes came, they changed the way battle were fought. When tanks came, they changed the way the battles fought. And when tanks came, the horses went out. When
Correct.
aircraft came, these are things which will happen. It's evolutionary in nature. Okay. All right. High tech would require highly qualified and highly trained combat personnel on the battlefield to guide the battle to a successful complete conclusion. Non-contact warfare is another matter. Your views?
Absolutely true. Commanders now have to be techno commanders. Like we have been having these internal discussions that now you can't wish away that I'm not aware of this technology. Somebody else will come and handle it for me. I don't think so. The wars of the future, or as we go along in future, our commanders. I mean, we could get away with it, but I think the future generation will have to become techno savvy, techno. Otherwise, they can't exploit technology. It's as simple as not
Yeah,
having the technology.
yeah. I'll give you a personal thing. At this age, both of us are trying to learn what AI is, what space warfare is, which we never learned in our formative years. But why are we doing it after retiring? Because the knowledge which we can gain with what we experience there, we can pass it down to others so that they can come up, right? And
Absolutely.
the name of the game is non-contact, because non-contact warfare enables gray zone hell of a lot. A lot of gray zone warfare is a non-contact. So
Yeah.
that's what you're saying is right, Akash. Okay. Which military technologies offer most bang for the buck? Is India self-sufficient in these? Which technologies is India not investing enough in? Where will India make most progress in years ahead?
Okay.
Okay.
This is a very,
So
very long
no,
winding
no, no.
question.
It's not a. It's a. I have a short answer for it. Let me put it.
Okay.
The short answer for this is the best technology is what wins you the war, and the best technology is what you have, and the best technology is what you use to win that war. So your military doctrine has to be is more important as to how you're going to fight a war, and the way you want to fight a war, which technology is available to you, you have to apply, and you have to invest in that. Very simple. If you don't have a technology, look at an alternate technology.
I only want to add in this what you said is that along with what we have and what we possess, how can we use it? We also need to see what the enemy has.
As and what is the
How
vulnerable?
yeah, and how is he going to use it, and where are his weak
Weak
armor?
spots. Yeah,
Armor I am using more as a metaphor and not as tanks.
yeah. His
Where are
blind
his
spots and
yeah,
weaknesses.
where are his weak spots? So once we match these two, I think that will give you the answer what is going to give you the best bang for the buck. Uh,
Look, the moment you go become over technical, a lot of blind spots and holes appear in your armory. Okay,
yeah.
that's the fundamental thing. Okay, given almost everything shall be tech enabled from henceforth, would you say that Agniveer's induction involving a basic proficiency test before physicals is great foresight for the forces? Well, I don't think so. I don't think we have to. When I don't think we should get involved in this Agniveer business, if
See,
you don't mind.
Agniveer is a
You,
different issue altogether.
topic, yeah, we'll not. This is the debate of old versus new tech. Isn't it a better idea? India should have large inventory of old and new tech so that as and when situation demands, we can mix as per the requirement. Your thought? I'll just put it. Isn't it a better idea? India should have a balanced inventory.
Yeah.
Instead of a large inventory, you need to have a balanced inventory,
The
right?
only thing which I want to add to this is that currently our you see any country has a mix of obsolescent equipment, current equipment, and new technology equipment. So there are these three major divisions. Currently, we are tilted towards more of the obsolescent and the current, and only 15% in the new age technologies. Now, this balance, I believe, I'm not an authority, I'm not serving, but this balance is likely to tilt by 2030 into major equipment being in the current and the new technologies, with about 15 to 20% in the obsolescent category. So we will have this mix even if you don't want to have the mix, because that
You
is the
can't
way.
get away.
Yeah, that is the way armies evolve. When something new is being developed, there are equipment which are in current and there are equipment which are going out, whether you take the air force, whether you take the army, or whether you take the navy.
And that cycle is 50 years, huh? A
Yeah,
MiG is 50 years plus old. That cycle is 50 years. Every tank is 50 years. Every gun
correct.
is 50 years.
Take the
Look,
aircrafts. Second World War aircrafts
we
have also been flying. The
we have the
Iranian president died in a Second World War helicopter.
second helicopter. And look at our guns, 130 guns, 1949 vintage. So, okay, right. All future wars will need officers well versed certain niche tech like AI, quantum computing, nanotech, etc. Should we allow for lateral entry of experts till say 27, 28 with experience in such technology?
We do have short service officers.
Yeah.
We do have short service officers, so you can have a category coming in this particular and their age is, if I'm not wrong, is about 25 years. You're looking at 2 years more. That we can take a call based on how technologies are evolving.
See, as technologies evolve, your ability to absorb people and your requirement of absorbing people also will change, and it's happening.
Yeah,
It's not as if we are not having. Okay, he says, kindly invite Navy and Army officers to share their views, thoughts, and analysis on war. Look,
sure.
I want to be very honest, but Navy and Army officers to a lot come. Navy and Air Force officers don't come. Unfortunately, they don't have any. Yeah. Uh, yeah, he says, General Ravi Saab, I think AI changed various countries' map and finished the borders, especially in South Asia. No, no, nothing of this kind. Maps don't change borders. People change borders by physically being there. Don't
People will
think
check borders.
people change borders. Okay. You stated during the course on industrial output, they West followed a policy of outsourcing industrial goods during the past 3 decades. Do do they have the capacity to bring it back immediately? What is their current preparedness in terms of technically trained manpower workers as a corollary? Does China still hold the key in case of economic warfare?
Sir, the the high-end technology is still, West has a lead over China. That we have to accept. As far as their capacities are concerned, yes, they have been reduced. Their factories were not working, but now I think they are focusing on it in a big way. But it will still take them, like I gave you the example of just simple Stinger missiles. It is going to take them almost 2 to 3 years, or maybe more, to actually get back to their old stock levels, leave aside going beyond that particular level. So it is going to take them time, but I think as as situation becomes more and more serious, the West will definitely wake up. As far as the Russians are concerned, they have been smart. They have actually pumped in their resources for industrialization. I think General Shankar covered this few days back when he said that the Russians are producing how many rounds of ammunition per day, how many it comes to per month. It's there in his tweet. Please have a look. See, it is
Yeah.
functioning on the ground. They have revived it with the help of the Chinese or whosoever. It doesn't matter, but they were
No,
well,
they have the capacity.
yeah, and they
They
were
have
well ahead.
really,
They were well ahead of the West.
yeah. And I just want to tell you now that General Dushant has mentioned this, I'm going to do a series. I'm going to do an episode only on that ammunition.
Yes.
What are we? I'm going to do it in the next 3 4 days. I'm thinking on it. I'm evolving it. I'm putting a presentation together. I'll tell you how do we handle such a situation, right? But that just wait. It's a matter of 4 5 days.
It's
Okay.
good for India, sir. We are also focusing now on ammunition. We are
Yeah,
saying that
ammunition.
we are not going to import ammunition, which is good. Although it
We
has
don't have a
some,
choice.
we have some negative issues on this, but that is for us to improve quality,
Yeah.
etc. We'll improve that.
Okay. Why doesn't India use robot and hard work as like rock breaking, forming issue and all that?
We are
We are
doing
doing
it.
it. Don't worry. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
doing it.
force substitution. I think Janal Bhatia covered a
Is
few episodes back with Janal Shankar. Where he
yeah.
talked about force substitution. Like for example, robot mules. That's one example which Indian Army has already gone into.
Okay. It says Indian Army lost thousands of troops unnecessary to capture Kargil Heights in '99. Army did not use long-range weapons, and IAF to destroy Paki troops stationed at higher level mountains.
I
Hey,
think
Indian Mastiff, I think you don't know. You
this,
read this book called Kargil to the Coup by Nasim Zehra. I'm reading it. Why I'm reading it? I'm reading it because I'm going to give a presentation to you this month on Kargil and Pakistan and Kargil and all that. And one of the things they say is we didn't have it, the Indians did it. And आप तो उल्टा ही बोल रहे हो यार,
yeah.
ठीक है?
So, and I think Beaufort was a big example of what
Big
the
thing, yeah,
Indian Army did. And let me tell you, please go to these heights. Even with the maximum of fire support, it takes something to capture those heights of 5,000 feet, five
yeah,
thousand
yeah.
meters. It's not
दम
easy.
निकल जाता है, दम निकल
People,
जाता है उधर.
normal walking is not possible. The soldiers had to walk with their full battle loads.
Yeah, you should spend a night at that height, एक रात, and you will come
Bas.
to know everything. एक रात की बात है. Do you think the real tech warfare lies in the economy and strategic burden imposed on the enemy through the continuous development and advancement of one's own tech capabilities? This is largely theoretical, don't worry.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'll
more
not.
of a, you're talking of arms race, etc.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
happens.
Okay, he says tech helps to protect troops and keep them out of harm's way. That's what General Dushant also said,
I
right?
highlighted that.
Yeah, India lost thousands of troops in '99. USA lost hundreds in entire Desert Storm. Look, I think your history is a little mixed up. Okay, have a look at it. USA didn't lose hundreds in Desert Storm, and we didn't
It's
lose
only later.
thousands.
It's only
Yeah,
later when they went on the ground that they started losing in the second Iran-Iraq war.
losing. Yeah, yeah,
Not Iran-Iraq, US-Iraq war.
yeah. Yeah. He says we should want to allow to serve the broader to Robert in place of army soldier. जरूरत नहीं भाई, आपको हिंदी में मेरे क्या, राइट, ये जरूरत नहीं है कि रॉबर्ट ले जाओ उधर. उसको जरा बिजली कौन देगा, उसको चार्ज कौन करेगा, उसको चलाएगा कौन 5,000 पे, वो तो जम जाएगा, बर्फ बर्फ हो जाएगा, बर्फी हो जाएगा उसमें. ओके, ओके. I think we've generally finished the whole thing and we've done with all the questions. Oh, Saikat Ghoshal, last question, I'll take it. When India-Myanmar border fencing will be completed, how work is progressing? I don't know when it will be completed. I don't know how work is progressing out there, but I know it will be useless. Okay, it will not work out there. If you have any contrary views, Dushyant, you
No,
can
no.
put across.
See, everything should be looked at it from both the perspective. There is an effort. I think the realization has come that we cannot fully fence it. There is some effort on to do a selective fencing,
Yeah, selective thing is the way
and
to go.
especially where movement of manpower is more frequent,
Yeah,
where we can do these checks, where we can have customs, etc. Those kind of things. So we'll see. It is still in work in progress. Elections have
work
been
in
going.
progress. Okay.
Elections have been going on in the country. It will take some time.
These things will come after the elections. Right. I think we've done with all most of the questions and we've answered all the questions. At least one question per head we have taken.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot for all your questions. I hope we've answered most of your questions. And I would also like to thank Jan Dushyant Singh for joining us today. And I also like to thank everyone who joined me in this series of 6 lectures on technology. Right. And I would suggest all of you go through this series of technology, and whenever you want to have a question on this, have a look at those things and give it to your friends. Right, it took me a lot of effort to put this on you know thing, and this will serve. And if new technologies come, we'll tackle it. Anything you want to say, Dushyant? Otherwise we'll say
I
Jai Hind.
just want to inform people who are interested in the staff college that I'm going to put out a question sample question paper model, and that will be discussed with General Shankar in one of the next few days, and that you should watch so that you know how to actually put all this knowledge on the ground, on the
Yeah,
paper, in the examination. That's
yeah,
just for your benefit. We are putting it out I mean, essentially to ensure that maximum of you clear the exam, rise to become big senior officers, and do well for the Indian nation as
Indian,
such.
yeah, for the nation. Yeah. Okay. So thanks a lot, Dushyant. Good evening to you and the rest of the people. Jai Hind, and we'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.